Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis. It's the Comic Book Roundtable. Yay! And I have Mike back with me. Mike, how's it going?
Good, and I do understand, and there's no apology needed. What I did to your front yard was inexcusable, and I'm sure the plants will grow back. So,
Well, I hope not, because I have to mow. But
yeah,
anyway, it's good to have you back briefly. You
yes,
this is just a tease of what's coming, right?
yes, hopefully, yeah.
Right on. Right on. So you jumped on and then you informed me, hey, I didn't actually have any books this week. So I can't even ask. Did you have any Marvel books this week? Did you read any Marvel
No,
books here lately?
no, because of the low quality cover stock and the high prices, I have not purchased Marvel, I think, in almost a year
Oh
now.
wow.
So.
Okay. Okay.
I grabbed, what was it, one of the spin-offs of War of the Realms. I flipped through, it looked kind of nice artwork. Then I saw there was a backup story, so I don't even get a full comic book because I didn't care for the backup story. And then I looked at the price and it was like $6, $7. So I just put it back.
Right.
It didn't interest me. So
So, have you? Because I know you read quite a bit of the Thor stuff. You were reading the Jane Foster Thor. Did you see that?
yes,
Did you see that she's going to be in a new book?
yeah, that she's taken over for
She's
Valkyrie. Yeah,
yeah, she's the Valkyrie now. Yeah.
yeah.
So, what do you think of that?
I think it'll be good. I mean, it comes down to a fresh take on a character. I enjoyed her run as Thor,
Mhm.
and a lot of it did depend on artwork for me. Because I mean, Dodderman I loved. I jumped off Thor a couple times because Dodderman had other people on there, or there was getting to be other stuff. So that's about where my failure point started, I
Mm,
think.
okay. Um, I know. I think Al Ewing is doing the writing on the book. I've really been enjoying his Immortal Hulk. So I'm curious. I'm curious about it. I don't haven't decided whether or not I'll actually pick it up. I guess when it comes time to I have to order it, I'll make that decision, kind of a thing. So
Yeah. And then it's one of those things too. Will they stick with a certain artist for a certain amount of time, or is it the rotating? That everybody gets 3, 4 issues,
right,
and they just keep going through people. So,
right. Which is the way of corporate comics
yeah,
largely now, right? So
yep.
yeah,
Except for
yeah,
like Wildstorm has wowed me. I mean, even though I did see that somebody's been doing a couple pages in there to kind of alleviate his workload on
right,
Wildstorm. So,
yeah. But it's been done in a way that seems to make a certain amount of sense. So it's not so jarring that it's
yes.
to make it too disruptive as far as that goes. Yeah. I don't have any Marvel books this week, so that's why I was trying to think of other Marvel things that had just come out that I thought, oh, I know people who have been reading that or might be interested in that character with the Jane Foster news and whatnot. And um, but clearly you're gonna
Yeah.
wait for it to hit Hoopla or something like that before you read it, right? So
Pretty much so, pretty much so.
yeah,
And I mean,
yeah.
I jumped on with Siege with Thor. I mean, I went in full. I bought every tie-in, and then I went and I bought every trade after they came back out afterwards. I mean, I was really invested in Thor,
Mm,
Marvel, all of that. And then as time went on and their quality kind of got worse and worse, and they would play around with artists, and it just seemed like it wasn't where I wanted it to be, and definitely wasn't in the price range anymore that I was willing to spend. So
yeah, sure,
I'm done, I
sure.
guess, for now.
Sure, makes sense. So we got people watching tonight. Thank you guys for coming on, Comic Crack and Long Box Review, and Jackie is saying that Kafu is who's doing the art. So I'm probably gonna try the first couple issues. I'll probably give it a shot just to see what it's like and what's going on with what's their plan. Largely though, because like I said, I've been enjoying what I've been reading with the Immortal Hulk. I'm curious to see what the writer will bring to will bring to the book. So I may give it a
Yeah.
shot because I have a feeling that some of my other Marvel books I may West Coast Avengers is ended.
Yep.
I think this week's version, issue 10, is the last issue. of it. So, that's something that's going off my Marvel list. I'm a bit concerned about Ms. Marvel, the Magnificent Ms. Marvel. I wasn't super excited with the first issue I've read of it so far, and of course you tweeted me the costume change that's coming. I think that costume change though is temporary. The post that I saw, it was the writer was showing it, and it was kind of a he said that it was going to be, she's in a new dimension or something like that, and so the costume is relevant to where she's at. So I'm hoping that she means she goes back to her main costume, because I don't know, it's a perfect costume. It just seems wrong to be changing her costume. She's only had the same costume for 50 some issues, and now they're suddenly going to change it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and especially like some other people mention it being like armor, like it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So unless it's like Jim Zub's, D&D version of the champions or whatever, I understand that kind of take, but
right,
just to kind of spruce her up, I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, but it doesn't fill me with warm and fuzzies. That's for sure. It did not look great, and I just don't see the point. She's a new character, a recognizable character. For gosh sakes, you can go at Halloween time, you can go and get a Halloween costume of the character, and now they're going to make it different. I don't know.
You got to sell the action figures. You got to get the variants. You got to get, there's a ton of reasons to do that, right?
I suppose. None of them good. Right. Exactly. So, yeah. At any rate, Marvel. So you got because I haven't talked to you in a long time. Do you have your Avenger tickets already bought and?
No. I am behind in my movie watching. Due to my family situation with having lots of activities to do. Most of it we wait till it hits the house. So I think Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse, I bought that, and that was my last superhero thing.
Nice. I really enjoyed that. I went to the movies to see that, and I really enjoyed it. I haven't seen the last Avengers movie yet, and it's on Netflix. I can watch it whenever I wanted to, and I haven't watched it yet. So there you go. Shows what kind of fan I am. So yeah. But okay, because I know there for a while is your shop still renting a theater to show this? Oh, so that's still going on at least, huh?
That is still going on. They still ask me when it comes in, but they also usually, I think, either do the Thursday night. Yeah, it's almost always the Thursday night, like 7:00 showing, and I'm watching my daughter. I can't do it.
Sure. So. Well, yeah, but that's when I quit watching movies. Once that first kid came and whatnot, it was like, okay, how does that work? I don't know. So, yeah, I hear you. Definitely. Okay. Well,
the only thing is, I could tell you, Grover has dressed up as Iron Man. Elmo and the rest of them have been the Avengers. So I think I've seen all the episodes of that. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. If anybody wants to see that, follow me on my MySpace page.
There you are. Awesome. That's great. That's funny. Okay, well, I'm going to roll on to some DC books. Like I said, don't have any Marvel books. My pull is extremely Batman or Batman centric this week, which is nothing new, right? Because most of the DC books are Batman books. Yeah. So Batman issue 68 and Detective Comics 1001 both came out in the same week. And I don't know if somehow my shipping's wrong, or are they actually releasing two Batman books on the same week? I need to look that up to figure that out, because it seems really weird to me that.
Isn't one of them coming out every 2 weeks now?
They both are.
Oh, okay.
So I would have assumed 1 week we get this, and the next week we get this, and then the next week we get this, right? But now I don't remember them coming out in the same week together. So I'm not really excited about that. Well, I don't know. Or it could be that, one of mine got missed and then I got it the next week too. So it may just be when I received it versus, when did it actually come out? Anyway, so issue 68 of Batman. This hilarious cover here of all the ladies of Gotham at the stripper club and whatnot, and Batman can't figure out why Catwoman won't pick up the phone. We'll see. Eric is saying that that previews is saying that they were listed as releasing the same week. Well, that's irritating. That increases the chances that I'm going to drop Detective Comics, I guess. So this is the last issue of the Nightmare arc, and I just continue to really like the book. This one was fun because it's mostly Lois and Selene kind of having their own little bachelor party. They go to the Fortress of Solitude. They're totally lit. I mean, they're already drunk off their asses when they get there. Supergirl lets them in to the Fortress of Solitude. They go inside and they drink like all of Superman's exotic booze that all the worlds, all the universes have given him over all the time. They sample everything. Superman has some robots that take care of the Fortress of Solitude that look like Superman. So they are the strippers. Those Supermen are the strippers, which to me is like really weird because of course Lois is having a good time, but wouldn't that be strange to have robotic versions of your friend's husband stripping for you? I don't know. It seemed very, to me that was like, that might be awkward. But it was drawn by Amanda Connor. It was just a lot of fun. And at the end of it, we kind of see, well, while that's going on, Bruce and Clark are having a bachelor night, which is them sitting around eating soup and playing chess and being really uncomfortable. It's like they don't know how to just be people, which I guess is part of the nightmare. Is the fact is that Bruce doesn't know how to not be Batman. It's really heavy-handed, but I mean, I think it's supposed to be, because once again, this is another one of Bruce's nightmares of him just not being able to function like a regular person. But we kind of get a thing at the end of it that kind of ends the nightmares. I enjoyed the arc as a whole. This one was funnier as opposed to like some of the others have been. But I'm, as much as I know there are some people who are not fans, I am wholeheartedly a Tom King Batman fan now. I just really enjoy all the odd stuff that's going on and the bigger picture that it's painting. So I'm really liking that. Whereas this, not as annoyingly bad as, for me, as the arc, Tomasi's arc before issue 1000. I really like the art. Bradley Walker's art in it is really good. I think it's pretty cool. I'm just not all that interested in the story. So a bunch of bats are dying everywhere, just massively dying off them. There's this park, and it's littered in dead bats. All the bats in Batman's Batcave are all laying around dead. It's, and he's trying to figure out what this mystery is. He ends up tangling with not Man-Bat, but so what's Mrs. Man-Bat called? Leslie. I mean, but anyway, I don't know what she's called when she's a bat. She's trying to figure out the problem, so she figures the best way is to take the serum and be a bat to figure out what's wrong with the bats. And then these guys show up that are dressed up kind of like knights to rumble with Batman, and we get our Arkham Knight at the end of it, basically putting Batman down. I don't know. The art, like I said, really like the art. The art was really cool and dynamic. I'm not super excited by this story. I'm not really entranced by it. So we'll see. I'll give it a few issues, but I may Woman Bat. Okay, instead of Man Bat. Thank you, Eric. But I just don't. I don't know. I'm just not. I don't know. I'm just not excited about it. I had really high expectations of Tomasi back on it. I saw other people commenting like, "Ooh, this is like reading Batman and Robin all over again." No, I don't think that's the case. But I don't know. I'm just not excited by it. The Arkham Knight doesn't interest me a whole bunch. So clearly, I purchased probably 6 issues before I can jump off of it at this point. The way I order, with it coming out twice a month, but yeah, it's questionable. So I'm reading over the comments, and Eric is asking in Batman 68, was a bit of weird overall. What was the nightmare? Hanging out with Clark? Why is the bachelor? Why is the bachelor party a nightmare? My assumption is the nightmare is that he doesn't know how to function as a normal human being, and just how uncomfortable that whole thing is. And I think it's a little bit of levity. The Lois and Celine part of it is just a good laugh for us as readers, because I think the next arc has got Bane in it, and I think it gets hardcore heavy again. So I think this is a little bit of fun for us before it goes back to being a violent train wreck, I think, is what's coming next. So,
All right.
Yeah. So have you read any DC books lately, Mike?
Yes. I recently read Midnighter and Apollo. It's a 2017 book, issues 1 through 6, 152 pages, written by Steve Orlando, artwork by Fernando Blanco. And this series was about how deep their love was for each other and how they are just so tied together. It was definitely wonderful. I enjoyed reading it. The artwork was just so on point, and I was really loving that part of it too. But in this one, Apollo dies. The villain has set it up so that he will be killed, and Midnighter has to go through all these magical means, forget about all of his science, forget about all of his computer work, enter hell and get Apollo.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I just loved it. It was great to see Midnighter tear people up, but still, this one didn't feel as over the top as that ACO one that we were reading.
Right.
Everything was an instant kill for him. This one was a little tougher. And then it was the struggle for Apollo just to keep up his love, his energy levels and everything while he's buried deep in hell.
Right. Because it's like Neuron or Necron or something like that. Neuron is the one that's got him down there and is trying to break him. Basically, he's trying to he's got him in hell, but he doesn't really like have his soul yet. So he's trying to break him the rest of the way while Midnighter is trying to get down there to take it out the magic bullet or whatever. Yeah.
Because previously I didn't know too much about them. I think I saw a little bit in ACO, like we said. And then, with Wildstorm, I didn't really know that much also about them. So since they got reintroduced, I found this, I read this. I just also read The Authority.
Oh, cool.
Like after they took over the United States and all of that. And that was good too. It's just, that one was also just so heavy with vulgarity and death and everything else. So
they're trying really hard to be edgy.
Yes, for the sake of edgy. Yes. So the two of those, it was great balance between the love story of Midnighter Apollo, the in your face of The Authority. So it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, cool. So they've been kind of touched on a little bit in the latest Wildstorm run, right?
Yes.
Midnighter and Apollo, and they're a little different. They're a little different in this. It's a kind of a little bit of a different take on it, which I thought was interesting. Kind of a deal, but still fun to just basically watch them run around and wreck stuff, because that's basically what they're doing right now. Is they're just a 2-man, wrecking crew as they're, busting up 1950s looking UFOs and all kinds of stuff in that run. So, yeah. So what do you think's? I mean, so speaking of Wildstorm, we'll talk Wildstorm for a few seconds.
Sure.
Well, there's like 2 issues left now, 3. 2 or 3?
I think 3 issues, I believe. Yeah.
So, what do you think's going to happen?
I don't know where it goes.
Right?
It's got to hit some kind of weird. I don't know. I have to imagine there's something after this, because it seems like we're building up to another point. With all these teams fighting and all this information, and that was a good thing about reading The Authority and the Midnighter Apollo, is seeing all these things that were explained, especially in The Authority. That was just touched on, like the Doctor and some of these other characters that were just kind of glossed over in this Wildstorm book.
Right. Well, yeah, because we didn't know, because we haven't read all that other stuff, to not realize that these names they're getting dropped are name drops, as opposed to it's just a character. It's just somebody that's going by, kind of a thing. If you're somebody who's been reading that older stuff, you have an idea more so than what, like for me, what I would know and whatnot. I just wonder if it's going to come down to some sort of stalemate, because they're all building up to attack each other, but nobody really has pulled the trigger yet. So is something going to stop it from becoming an all-out war, or is this little group that's got what, Hawk, is his name Hawkmoon, and Jenny Spark and that little group, is that group going to somehow do something that keeps them from basically using the Earth as a giant battleground and wiping each other out, kind of a thing? I'm just curious. But I've heard nothing. I've heard nothing that says that Warren Ellis is doing anything after this. I mean, when this whole thing first started, they made it sound like they're going to be rolling out, like every 6 months they're going to roll out a new thing. But that kind of seems to not be the plan anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because of the DC rollback with everybody scaling back, or if because Michael Cray burned them because I didn't do as well as they thought they were going to.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be kind of it'll be sad when it's gone, though. I mean, I would love to see it go on for another 24 issues or whatever. I mean, it's all especially interesting.
That John Davis Hunt. I mean, whatever he does next, I guess I'm picking up.
Right. Yeah.
Even though it really just felt also like all that artwork was just clean room number 2.
Exactly. Well, his stuff just looks so the same. Whatever he's doing, it's not like he tweaks it at all for whatever book he's on. He is just him, and that's it. And because he's not having to really, the characters he's using are characters that have been out there before, but it's not like him trying to do Batman or something where he has to try and fit a form so much. So he just really just continues on with doing his own, his own take on it. And kudos to Buccellato, who's doing the color work on the book. It's a great book, and I don't know if he did the color work on Clean Room or not. I'd have to go back and look at that. But
I want to say it was though.
Yeah. So them as a team, is a gorgeous looking work for sure.
I do want Hunt to do a regular superhero book because it's like Rossmo. I love to see the style change on that kind of stuff. So,
and what would you want to see him on?
I wouldn't care anything, any team book, anything that's established superhero that we're already locked into a certain idea because he's going to change it. Just the same as like Rossmo doing Batman.
Right.
I mean, art, Hunt doing Batman, Hunt doing a Superman. Even if it's just a 4-issue arc, I would eat it up.
Yeah. It'd be interesting because it would be so Batman, especially because it would be so super clean, because Hunt's work is just so, meticulously clean. There's no, there's not a line out of place. There's nothing sloppy. There's no extra, whatever, kind of thing. His style is, so it would be really interesting to see him do something like that. Would be interesting. Oh yeah, for sure. As far as other DC books I got this week, Catwoman's, of course, another one of the books I got. I know you jumped off of this after you heard that Jones was no longer doing the artwork. I continue to read it. I like it. This one was Blanco art. I didn't like as much as I've liked the some of the prior art for it. It continues on. For me, it's not riveting at this point, but it's still kind of interesting because it's still kind of playing with some of the characters that we see when this story first came out. The woman who was married to the mayor, who's now since she's killed him.
The no-face villain.
Right. She has resurrected her son, but he's leaking weird blue fluid all over him. Now in this issue, they're in a limo, and he's in the back of the limo, and he is just almost a puddle of goo. The other son that's still trying to run the political wing of the family is freaking out, trying to stay away from him, but at the same time, he really can't avoid his mother and all of her power and whatnot. And Catwoman has the device that resurrected this guy and does not know that it has this kind of power to it. So I'm kind of curious to see what goes on there. I'm enjoying the book, but I'm not sure, how much longer the book's going to go. I'm curious. I don't see a lot of people talking about it a whole lot or anything, so I'm really curious.
And I did think Jolie Jones's art was solid,
Mhm.
and it was me being nitpicky because it was
Oh,
about
no,
the art. Because
sure.
I wanted well, not Hit Woman, whatever,
Lady Killer.
Lady Killer. Thank you.
Yeah.
I loved that, and I thought it would
Yeah.
pretty much carried into this. I was a strong female with awesome artwork doing
Mhm.
wicked things, and when it changed, I steered off of it for that
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. I think DC pays more
Yeah.
than Dark Horse does. I think that's why we don't have Lady Killer and we have Catwoman instead. I'm not gonna hang around for the book. I'm not. I'm enjoying it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens and whatnot.
Yeah. And that's one of those, I got to imagine that gets a TV show or a movie. It's so easy to do a lady killer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. That's just begging to be done. 100%.
Yeah.
Especially stylized, because you could drop it into like 1950s, that kind of 1950s, early 60s, that kind of era. So you could give it a look, which I think would be a smart thing too and whatnot. Eric Longbox Review is saying that Quentin Winter was listed as the colorist in the clean room. So,
all right.
Looks pretty much the same though, I think. So yeah.
Yeah.
And the only other DC book I picked up this week was Wonder Twins issue number 3. Let's say his name, Gleek. And Gleek in this is a circus monkey, kind of on the run. Basically, he was not treated well by the circus, and he is kind of a shell shocked from the from the circus, but he's like Jan's best friend, and they hang out. I don't know. It's an amusing book. It's not as funny as some of Russell's other work and whatnot, but I'm still enjoying it. I think it's only a couple more issues, I believe. So it's good for a few laughs along the way. There's a group of supervillains in this. They're not even D-listers. There's like one guy's called the Scrambler, and on his chest he has a scrambled egg, and he has some sort of mental powers that he can scramble people's minds. I mean, he's like, and a bunch of other silliness that's there that is just kind of goofy. But it's fun, but not anything as smart as like the Flintstones or Snagglepuss or anything like that. But and that's my DC books this week.
Last thing I read was Shazam: The Monster Society of Evil. Jeff Smith art, Jeff Smith story, which actually came out in 2019 is what it says. I was surprised. I did not remember that, but I thought it was way older. Or maybe the trade came out.
The trade must have come out, because there's no way that would be this year.
Yeah. And that was 234 pages, while Midnighter and Apollo was 152 with 6 issues. So, I mean, it must have been packed with these story. This was just a wonderful depiction of Shazam, Captain Marvel, with Mary Marvel. It really felt like it was a very good throwback. Because I think besides Knuckle, who also did some artwork for Shazam, Smith's artwork I really dug too. It gave me that feel of it seemed solid. It seemed to hit all the storylines. Billy had a great heart, gets the power, tries to figure it out, has these monsters show up, battles Dr. Mind. It was everything I wanted in a book, so I would recommend it to people.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of it feels like a classic, right? Yeah. It really does a good touchstone back to some of that stuff for sure. A lot of fun. Yeah, cool. DC news. I can't think of anything that's like screaming of something new that's just kind of come out of the woodwork here recently that I can think of.
No.
So we'll roll into some independent books, which of course is my big pile of stuff right now. I will briefly talk about this. I won't show any of it because this is my black covered version of it. This is actually a piece of cardstock. There's actually and it's not attached, which is nice. So there's a cover behind this, which I have to say I thought was going to be not near. I'm like, okay, how how scandalous could it really be? It's a beautiful piece of art by Tula Latoy because she does gorgeous work, but it is extremely graphic. It leaves nothing to the imagination. There is a lady on it, and she is having a very good time with herself.
All right.
So, Faithless is about a woman named Faith who is she's, I don't know, she's a 20-something, hangs out in coffee shops, and she is dabbling in magic, she says. She basically takes magic pentagrams and whatnot, breaks them down, and then redraws them, saying things like, well, I hope this one gives me money, or I hope this one, gets me a, good boyfriend, or whatever, that sort of thing. She doesn't know that any of it works. She just kind of is, putting it out there, kind of a deal. She meets a girl in the coffee shop, who she kind of starts a potential whirlwind romance with. She's kind of a model muse sort of a thing. Weird stuff happens around them that, like, maybe her magic is working. She finds the guy's wallet. The guy is happy that she gave the wallet back. She gets $100. They meet this woman's boyfriend. The boyfriend they chase him off, and he ends up committing suicide. They actually watch him commit suicide on television while they're hanging out at a bar. There's some really strange stuff going on in it. There's some getting busy at the very end of the book, and then something really super creepy happens during some pleasuring stuff. So it's like, ooh. So I don't know where the book's going because I don't know. I really like Mara Lovett's artwork. She's just got a really interesting style. She did a book I collected a while ago called There's Nothing There, about a young kind of Instagram star who is seeing ghosts, kind of a thing. And I really like that. So that's why one of the reasons I picked this up. And I like a lot of Brian Arizio's stuff also. So I was curious about this book, but I know it's only like 4 issues. I want to say, so I'm curious. Like I said, I really like the artwork. There's definitely a lot of nudity in it, and I'm interested with the kind of horror thing that goes on at the end of it. Now I'm like, oh, what's the book really about and whatnot. The normal covers are Paul Pope drawn, and this artist's artwork is somewhat reminiscent of Paul Pope, but a little more along the lines of a stylized, like somebody who would do the artwork for like a clothing line. That's kind of her style of work. And so it's just, to me, it's really visually interesting in comparison to the other stuff that's out there. So yes, Terrence is saying it's saucy stuff because he questioned it on Twitter, and I actually sent him a picture of it, so he's seen it. It's plenty graphic. Book I'm super excited to see come back. She Could Fly. This is issue number 1 of the 2nd arc. This is the Lost Pilot. The first run of the book was supposed to just be a finished run. It was popular enough, and the guy who's writing it has more that he could tell, so he's just kind of continuing the story. So we pick up with these characters after, I don't know, more than a year has gone by. Our main character has spent some time in a mental institution because of just the insanity that's gone around her. She is mentally not well anyway. She's got some pretty high-level OCD stuff going on with her that, makes her think she wants to kill people and all kinds of horrible stuff that she's always fighting against. And of course, this kind of black ops things going on behind her because there was a woman who did actually fly. So they're trying to find out how that worked. The scientist that was supposedly behind it, who doesn't really know how it works either, he's off in some black site and they're torturing him to try and get the information, while our main character here is exploring this woman's life more, who she was, because she's trying to figure out the whole flying thing herself too, because it's kind of an obsession of hers. So really like having it back. The art is by the same guy who does Ice Cream Man. So yeah, It's Private Peanut. But yeah, I'm really digging it. It's a lot of it's cool. It's, if you like the first one, this is just more of that same run of books. So yeah, good stuff. So Mike, have you been reading anything that's not the big two?
I did The Last Siege, which was 8 issues. I think it came out last year, if I remember correctly. It's a story of a stranger who shows up at a castle that is going to be taken over by a new baron, and he's just a horrible jerk of a knight. He's going to just grab the woman and marry her and then just do as he wishes. The stranger quickly gets rid of the baron, and he knows this will anger the king. The king's army must come. They're wore down, they're tired, and he says, we got to defeat them now. And it's just about waiting for this last attack that's going to happen on them, and everybody standing their ground with the weakest available army that they have available. So that was Landry Q. Walker and Justin Greenwood. Greenwood was the artist, and I did think the art was very decent, and the story was just enjoyable.
Like, the last big thing I remember Greenwood doing, I think, is he did a pretty healthy chunk of Moon Knight towards the end there, I think, too. Like, I think he was doing the artwork when Colin Bunn was writing Moon Knight for a while, I think. Yeah, cool.
All right.
Cool. I don't have much to say about Ronin Island. Boom Studio book, this is issue number 2. This feels relatively paint by numbers as far as plotline goes. Monsters are coming. 2 kids that come from opposite sides of the track in the equivalent of medieval Japan have to figure out how to come together to fight the bad guys. And so far they aren't doing a very good job of it. The poor Korean kid who lives amongst the Japanese is kind of got her crap together. And then there's the rich kind of spoiled kid who's got his dad's, fancy armor and whatnot, is trying to be the big samurai and is kind of blundering through stuff and whatnot. I'm going to drop it because it just doesn't, there's not enough of a hook there to really make me go, ooh, this is something special or different. So another book that has started back up, just like the She Could Fly. This is Infinite Dark, issue number 5. This is the next arc. I think this was technically going to be done at issue 4. People had enough interest in it that it is continuing on. Months have gone by since the last issue. Our main character fought this entity that was kind of like living chaos. They're in a satellite that has and the universe is dead. The universe is completely gone, doesn't exist, except for this satellite, and it has like a field that is generated around itself to keep the entropy of nothing from crushing them. There's these monsters, or was a monster out in that. Maybe that monster's back. But our main character, who was a constable on this satellite, is trying to put the pieces together of what happened while she was unconscious. There's a lot more potential anarchy and strife on the satellite now because the government was kind of hiding stuff from everybody, and now nobody trusts anybody. So there's all these extra tensions going on, plus this potential other thing that's out there. So I'm enjoying it. It's an interesting kind of sci-fi book. Another sci-fi-ish book that I'm really enjoying. Low is finally back. This is issue 21. Beautiful Tanichi art with Dave McCraig colors on it. This issue has to do with Estella, our main one of our main characters' mom. She has been captured. She's on the surface. She's now basically in a zoo. She and the pirate captain are trapped. They're stuck in this zoo. The humans that survived on the surface of the earth that didn't get cooked by the radiation and died, have them in a zoo. They study them. They're the gross pink kind of Neolithic throwback monkeys is what they call them. They actually hunt the people under the water to try and kill them off. So that's what's actually happening while some people are kind of being amused by looking at these people in the zoo. The last of these fancy mech suits guy is getting his army ready. He's building his army up, and they are going to go under the water and kill these last stations that are left. Of course, those stations are almost dead anyway because they're all running out of oxygen and supplies and everything else. And they're in their last throes of death, but they're going to make sure to kill them off. Why? Not because they're doing anything to the people living on the surface, but 2 or 3 millennia ago, those people left these people on the surface, and they're still mad about it. So they're going to go down and kill them off because they're scum for having left them down there. I really, like I said, I really enjoy this book. I love the art. I like the story. I love the whole hope thing and whatnot. It's been a long time since this book came out, and the last time it came out, it was like 1 or 2 issues, and it had a big gap between the two. So that's making it a little harder to keep up with the, with all the smaller parts of the storyline. But it's a book I love enough that once it's all done, and I think it's starting to roll up to an ending. Once it is all done, I will go back and I will read the whole thing through. I'm probably going to buy whatever hardback deluxe version that comes out when it's all said and done. I know it's out in like 1 or 2 really big. These 20 issues are out in like 2 really big volumes right now. So I don't know if it'll be 3 or 4 volumes like that or something a little different. But I really dig this book enough that I will be getting it in some fancy, sexy format that I can set on my bookshelf and go, ooh, look at this. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Let's see. House of Whispers continues to be kind of a miss for me, largely. Now we're in a new arc, the middle of the arc. Now we've met the Anansi, I think is how you say it. It's the spider god that weaves stories and whatnot. They have met that deity now, and they are trying to get him to change our House of Whispers person. Her husband is the boat currently, and he needs to be separated. His spirit needs to be separated from the boat, or he may permanently become a boat. So now they're going to have a story off. The spider god's going to tell a story, and she's going to tell a story, and whoever's story is the most intriguing and entertaining, that's the person that wins. If she wins, he has to pull her husband out of the boat. If he wins, he gets to eat all their stories. And if your story gets eaten, you're pretty much done for. It's all right. It's still not, I said, great. I read it mostly now just to try and pick out what I think is the Dan Waters part of the story. Cause I'm really digging his Lucifer and a lot of the other stuff that he has written. So I'm just kind of trying to, and issue 5 is when he came on the book. So since then I've been reading it, trying to pick out, where's his influence versus the regular writer's influence on the book, kind of a thing. So, yeah. Got any other books you want to talk about, Mike?
Right now, I am just devouring the Eclipse series. And that's the idea is sun goes with a solar flare or something. The sun is now so intense, it burns skin on contact, where you just burst into flame or it melts off your body. So everybody is moved below ground, like in New York and that. And so it's Zach Kaplan who writes it, Giovanni Tepano as the artist. And for me, I thought it was all about figuring out, why did the sun do this? How do these people live in this condition? It's quickly evolving into a political intrigue about this company that must have figured out it was happening. They have a bunch of solar cells that are on the surface, so they're supplying all the energy for the city, and it's all about the haves and the have-nots, and who lives to an excess and who barely gets by, stray colonies, and then finally there's somebody who's killing all these people, and it's somebody who can walk out onto the surface and their skin doesn't burn. So it's been enjoyable, and it's, I think I'm 3 trades worth in, so I originally picked it up, I think, to issue 4, and I wasn't really into it. And it's one of those, it's post-apocalyptic stories. So I think everybody can have one or two of those, but once you just keep getting all these Oblivion songs and all this,
Right.
I don't know. They're usually very long stories, so it's tough to stay deep into them. To
Mhm.
be committed to these stories.
That one really does sound interesting, though. Because it's not just the apocalypse itself. The whole, the have-nots and the haves and all that
Yeah,
adds a certain another level, and then of course the murder mystery part of it too, right?
yeah.
On top of all of that, right on.
And they do a good job of writing it to make it seem intriguing all the time. So
Mhm.
I've been really excited, especially being able to read so many trades all together. So
Right, right, right. And some of that stuff is kind of a slow burn. It takes a while to really build up all the kind of subtleties of what they want in there and whatnot. So,
yeah,
yeah, there's certainly an advantage to read and trade when it comes to that kind of stuff for sure.
yeah. I don't have the information on my other comic, but The Realm is my other big one I'm
Mm-hmm.
into. Every month I'm devouring that one. It's really very D&D. It is post-apocalyptic and it's D&D mixed together because I mean there's bugbears and there's swords and sorcery, but it's our world after something bad happens. So I've been enjoying that one, and the guys that do it are really awesome too. So I would say look up the Realm, look up the guys that are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They're awesome on media. So
Are you still getting Manifest Destiny in singles?
yes, and I think it's been on a long
A
wait. I
break, right?
don't. Yeah. So I don't know if it's just been the 3 to 4 months that they usually, or if it's gone a little longer. I
Mm,
feel like it's
okay.
been longer, but
Yeah, I haven't
it's on
seen.
my
Yeah,
poll.
I haven't seen anything about it for a while, so that's why I was thinking it must be on a. It must be on another break. So
Yeah.
cool. The only other book that I have, and I really, really liked it, was Fair Lady. This is issue number 1. And as you can see there, it contains a complete a Fair Lady mystery. The mystery is there and it is solved. This thing was billed as basically kind of being high fantasy, Lord of the Rings-ish meets Magnum PI. And I was a huge Magnum PI fan as a kid, way back in the day when that book was out. And this book really has a lot of that feel to it. This is set after some war has raged across this area. Like I said, it's kind of fantasy kind of thing. There's clearly some sci-fi stuff in there too, because this place where they live at, the town of like 1,000, it's got a population of 10,000. They live in kind of the busted up shell of like an old giant robot. I mean, like there's a lake inside of its chest. I mean, it's massive. So clearly this war had all kinds of stuff. So she is a war veteran. During the war, she faked that she was a man so she could fight in the war along with everybody else. Now that the war is over with, she, as an ex-soldier, she has sold herself out to being a kind of a mercenary security guard of this wizard's magic castle. Well, while she's doing the security there, she also takes a side job as basically being the equivalent of a private investigator. And they're called fairmen. Well, in her case, she's a fair lady. And she has this guy that hangs out with her, and they go around, they get hired to figure out mysteries. And this one, they get hired to track down this bookkeeper who has stolen a bunch of money. Maybe she's stolen something else. We don't know. And she does. She kind of tracks him down, and it has the kind of typical, I go and talk to, gumshoe kind of stuff. I go and talk to this guy. There's some other players in it, and they're kind of messing with her. There's a couple punch 'em up scenes in it. And we get kind of an answer, but we don't get a total answer because that's how life works. It isn't clean. It isn't neat. She finds this woman, and clearly the woman's got all kinds of problems of her own. So it's not just simply she ran away with a whole bunch of money. There's other weird stuff going on. And it kind of, and the story ends because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who might be interested to go back and pick it up, because it is really cool, because it is kind of a one and done kind of a thing. But there's other, it's clearly is a larger story. Yeah, here's the town. This is the town. So like that's a lake, these are all little buildings around this giant, what clearly was like a giant robot that's, been busted up. It's called the Fed. I don't know. I just, like I said, this issue is called Fair Lady, the Case of the Blue Rock. We find out the Blue Rock is actually a piece of human skull. That during the war, the enemy came up with a way to create this fog that they could fight in, and one army couldn't see. So that army's wizards decided that they would fix it. They would get rid of it. So they went to eliminate the fog so they could then fight the enemy that could fight inside this fog. Well, they didn't do the spell quite right, and the fog burnt off. And when it burnt off, it actually consumed all of the enemy soldiers that were there and all of the citizens that were there. It was like a giant massacre. And it burnt them away in such a way that it left these blue stones that were like parts of the bone of these people. So while we get these other weird mysteries, it's doing some world building. It's letting us know just how bad this war was that she went through. No, I really dig it. Like I said, but it definitely had a Magnum PI vibe to it, and I dig that. So it was fun. It's fun. I'm looking forward to more issues, especially if every issue has. I mean, even the next month's covers contains a complete, Fair Lady mystery. So it's gonna kind of finish a mystery each time. So yeah, I'm really digging it.
Cats in the background, are those like the Dobermans for Higgins?
Yeah, well, right. Except I think those are technically actually something that they ride. They're these big kind of woolly bear things, but they do kind of have that feel to it, right? But yeah, they're actually steeds. They actually ride them.
All right, so they're the Ferrari then.
Right, basically. And like I said, it's just this kind of strange, fantasy-esque sort of a deal, but it's not like there's magic there and stuff, but we haven't really seen any of said magic. But I mean, it even has like a crime scene. She gets into this woman's house and there's all this different stuff there. She collects some of the evidence from there and tries piecing it together. Yeah.
So do you think it's going to be several one and dones then?
Well, that's their intention is that it is an ongoing, but each story will have a mystery that gets solved if it can be solved, because not all mysteries get solved. And I'm assuming that why we're getting these, each episode, they, like television, something happens and they figure it out at the end of it. But at the same time, we're going to be building up these characters. I would assume we're going to get more into what her life was like. Who's this wizard that she's protecting the tower of? We're going to get the extra stuff that's around the world while we're exploring these mysteries. So you'll have a story. Each issue will have its own story that will get completed, just like a standard, serialized TV show, not a Netflix TV show, but a cable TV show, and then our network TV show, and then we'll get this extra layers of those characters and what they're up to on top of it. So, and it's thick. It is standard comic book these days price. It is $3.99, and it is, I don't know, I think it's 30 pages. It's 30 pages plus there was a letter in the back of this one just kind of talking about, hey, this is what the series is going to be. A little bit of letter page, and then a little bit of prose, another kind of mystery kind of thing. So, and they say every issue is going to be this. Every issue is going to be a thicker, you're going to get more money for your bang. So I'm hoping that makes them really popular so they make their money back up, because clearly the more pages it is, the more work they've put in for the price they're getting. But, so you're definitely getting you're going to get your money's out of it if you're doing pennies per page, you're getting more pages. So Eric's a huge fan. I think one of the reasons Eric's probably a huge fan is because as much as I'm a big Magnum PI fan, Eric is a crazy Magnum PI fan. So, yeah. And like I said, it really does have that kind of feel to it. So he's saying that he loved it, and he loves that the Fair Lady plays around with the format. So yeah, I'm excited for the book. I'm excited for it as a monthly book. what we're gonna get. So their plan is they'll do 5 issues or so, take the break, put out a trade, and then come back like most of the Image books are doing nowadays. So,
yeah. I might look for that one then.
Yeah.
That sounds intriguing.
Yeah, and it clearly comes down to the purchasing power. If they can sell enough to keep themselves in business, they'll keep telling stories, and if they don't, then they're done. Like a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's my books. That's my books this week. So, and I don't know of any independent kind of stuff that's out there to be talking about, whatever. So, I think we'll call it a night. Thanks for coming on, Mike. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you come back for real later on. For anybody who watches clear to the end of this thing, there will be no show next week. Work has me on planes and trains and automobiles going across the country. So I will be gone, and there won't be one the week after that either, because I will just be getting back from doing my adventure across the states. So so 2-week break from this, and then I'll be back to talk all kinds of comics then.
And then by then that'll be a new comic book, a free comic book day.
Oh yeah, right, because the beginning of May, right? Yep.
So you've already ordered your free issues through your service?
I have not. I would assume that's next month. That's interesting.
Okay.
I would have thought it would have been this month. I wonder if I missed that when I was ordering my comics.
I was gonna say, isn't it like just mere weeks away?
Maybe I already ordered.
May.
Maybe I already ordered them, because I think that was a long time. I think that was a long time ago. I forget after a while because it's been so long ago, kind of thing. And I just kind of randomly go, yeah, I want some of those, whatever, because I probably get more through my subscription than most people would get walking into a store to get it. So see, Luke is asking too, Travis, did we miss Free Comic Book Day on Discount Comic Book Service? And I'm thinking, are you sure it wasn't like months ago? See, now I'm wondering, maybe they aren't doing Free Comic Book Day anymore.
Well, that'd be a bummer, because I was gonna say you guys do 3 months ahead, right?
Yeah, something like that. But it seems to me like New Comic Book Day is even earlier than that. I don't know if Eric's still on. He orders through Discount Comic Book Service too, so I don't know if he remembers seeing it or not seeing it either. Anyway,
all right,
I'll have to check that out. I had ordered free comic book issues from Discount Comic Book a few months ago. See, so it was a long time ago. Eric's saying that it was months ago, because it seems to me like it's like almost 6 months in advance. So I'm ordering like the DC and Marvel book because maybe it's going to introduce, some new event or whatever. And then halftime when I get it, it's like a reprint of a Batman book that, of course, I already own 3 copies of. So, yeah. And there's the Deadly Class one that's coming, and I'm hoping I ordered that. Maybe I didn't even know that existed. So now I have no idea. I'll have to go back and look and see if I can look through my orders to see when and what I may have ordered there. So now I'm going to be up all night worried that I'm not getting my free comic books, Mike. Thanks.
All right.
And there is no store in my town again. They attempted to open back up. They were supposedly going to start getting new comics. They put out all these ads on Facebook. They said, "Oh, it's going to be awesome. It's a new dawning of a new era. It's going to be great." And then like 2 weeks later, now it looks like somebody threw a hand grenade into the place. And I mean, there's like posters falling off the walls, and half the windows are covered over with newspapers. And clearly, there's been no Facebook activity. So once again, my town is completely without a. So I am so glad I did not turn any of my pull over to those guys. I tell you what, I would be so upset.
When you told me this, and then I know there's a river in another town.
Right.
I mean, is it Metropolis there, and you live in Gotham?
Something like that. Except the problem is both towns are Gotham. That's the problem here. Okay. It's like hillbilly Gotham is what it is. So, so bad news all around there as far as that goes. Eric's telling me I'll have to go north. I don't know. It's not that big a deal. There is a comic swap and record swap. Like, two of my things this weekend. And of course, I will be in mid-transit for work and will not be able to participate in it at all. So kind of bummed about that. I've missed it this is the third year and I've missed it every year because of something stupid going on. So, well.
And you just can't give your kids a list and have them do it?
I don't trust them. They would buy some scratched up version of something or some, I don't know what, but yeah. Right. So anyway, thanks for coming on. Thank you everybody for watching the show. Appreciate it as always. And so, hey, in a couple weeks, I'll be back with hopefully lots of comic books to talk about and whatnot. And maybe we'll see Mike back then and we'll talk comics. Right. Everybody have a great one.